how Lesley-Ann Brandt shocked the casting directors with her leather bra, how Inbar Lavi was homeless and lived in a basement before she found success with Lucifer and Imposters, and how come it took Tom Ellis quite a while to figure out how to play Lucifer in rehearsals. Here's every epic audition story from the Lucifer cast. Lesley-Ann Brandt. The character of Mazikeen rightfully deserved a badass fight among the actors, and Lesley-Ann served her justice. Lesley had been auditioning during the pilot season, which is traditionally the time studios test the potential shows, from January till April. Poor Lesley was exhausted from running from one audition to another, and her audition for Mazikeen was her 7th that week. Brandt either had to bring it all or go home and do 100 auditions more. Lesley decided to do her very best she could and made sure her outfit fit Mazikeen's portrayal spot on. She put on leather, Yves Saint Laurent boots she got on sale, badass leather pants, and wore a leather bra underneath her hoodie. As she recalls, all the other actresses in the room were looking at her like she was a total weirdo in her outfit. When they called my name, I unzipped my hoodie and went in, and I was just like, I don't give a f***. I'm gonna do this character justice. I feel like she represents confidence, sexuality, and the rest is history, Brandt told a Book of magazine. Turns out the casting directors remembered her from 2 episodes of CSI, so they had no doubt she was a perfect fit. But even though Lesley-Ann definitely impressed them, the producers initially cast Lena Esco. There are no specific details on what exactly the reason for the recasting was, but Esco dropped out at the first table reads according to Express magazine. As Lesley-Ann once mentioned, our producers do a wonderful job, so when they are hiring people to come in, they obviously are looking at the talent. But I think that they are also making sure that whoever we hire isn't going to rock the boat. We're so grateful. So perhaps the actors just didn't have the necessary chemistry to vibe with one another. Anyway, we are over the moon excited that Brandt eventually landed the role of Mazikeen. Amy Garcia. Ella is probably the brightest character on the show, and the actress playing her had to understand that uniqueness right away. Amy Garcia totally saw the character through. She had a reoccurring role on Dexter before Lucifer, but it's her portrayal of Ella Lopez that made fans fall in love with her. Amy revealed when she first saw the script that she was astounded that Ella wasn't afraid to be goofy, despite the fact she's a scientist. She loved her job and wasn't judgmental of any of her colleagues. As Amy recalled, the audition scene had Ella saying, "The devil gets a bad rap. What did he do that was so bad? Ask some naked lady if she wanted an apple?" Those words told me Ella saw the best in people and was a bright light. I was so excited to play an optimistic and fun character who was unapologetically herself. Garcia revealed she feels a close connection with Ella, as they are both big dorks and like dancing and spreading love. Unfortunately, there's a huge lack of Latina representation on TV, but Ella is one step forward in changing that. Amy revealed that she gets inspiration from other famous young actresses of Latin descent, like Michelle Gomez on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Stephanie Beatriz on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Camila Mendez on Riverdale, and many others. But Ella says one of the biggest rewards is that the fans turned Ella from a regular scientist into a cool superhero, as Amy told North Sand Beyond. A science teacher said she played Ella's scenes in her biology class because Ella made science cool. How cool is it to have so much fan love? Tom Ellis. Just like Brandt, Tom stumbled upon Lucifer during pilot season. Tons of scripts were coming to him, but Lucifer stood out the most. As he told Interview magazine, it was one of the few scripts that I read during the pilot season this year that, as soon as I read it, I said, that's what I want to do. It was much funnier than anything I had read. Ellis met one of the directors who quickly fell in love with Tom's portrayal of Lucifer. It didn't take long for the board to feel the same. Funny enough, Tom awkwardly had to admit that he didn't know he was auditioning for a comic book character. I have to embarrassingly admit that I didn't know it was based on a graphic novel until after I got the job, and I read it on deadline. Tom, please let us know in the comments if you find out anything new about the show in this video. Ellis revealed that it was Lucifer's uniqueness that made him audition for the role. As he admitted, it takes him only 10 pages in to realize whether the project is worth his time. One more attractive challenge he saw in Lucy was the style of the script. You won't believe it, but it took quite some time for Ellis to figure out how to embody the character. Tom revealed that the script was written by the scriptwriter from Californication, who's known for writing pretty lovable characters. But this time, the script didn't indicate whether Lucy was British or American.
So my first instinct, because it was American pilot season, was to try it with an American accent. And I did, and he just sounded like a dick.
Tom realized that Lucy had some Oscar Wilde vibes and decided to over-articulate the dialogue. As he called it, If No Coward by Emily Bronte and Mick Jagger had a baby. Well, what can we say? It worked out perfectly. On top of that, Tom has the perfect family background to do such a show. His mother used to be a music teacher who did a great job of customizing her son to music and singing. Meanwhile, Tom's father was a Baptist priest who gave his son a church upbringing. Imagine how weird it must have been for Ellis to star in a show built around biblical references. Inbar Lavi. Before we jump into the story of how Inbar was pitched for the role without auditioning, we have to explain how hard-earned the role of Eve was for her. After the Israeli army declined drafting Lavi due to some health issues, she packed her suitcase and fled to New York to pursue her acting career. Unfortunately, it was not that easy for a newcomer. Not only did food taste differently and no one got her jokes, Inbar struggled to find acting gigs. She was working as a waitress in a restaurant for some time until it went bankrupt, and she ended up homeless, spending a scary night on the New York subway. Inbar and 7 more Israeli community members lived in a basement for a while, but she never lost hope. We spread mattresses in the living room and collected furniture from the street, but it was a dream. Good company, a guitar, schnitzel on Friday, what more do you need? It's incredible how strong and humble Inbar is. After 2 months of extreme poverty, just barely surviving, Inbar decided to change things and moved to Los Angeles, winning a scholarship to study film. Her first breakthrough role in Imposters was like winning the lottery, since the writers of Lucifer fell in love with her in that show. As Inbar revealed, one of the writers of the show was a big fan of Imposters, and he was basically writing Eve with me in mind. And then, when the time came to cast, he just pitched me as the first woman of mankind. It's unbelievable what a long roller coaster Inbar had to go on to end up on the show, and we hope it's only the start of her great achievements. Kevin Alejandro. Turns out that just like Mazaki, the character of Detective Douche nearly looked completely different. The studios had already hired another actor, Nicholas Gonzalez, and had even shot a pilot with him in it, according to Fox. And although no one has explained the reason for the shuffle, Dan Espinosa was recast with Kevin. It looks like Alejandro had the right energy the show was looking for. Kevin is fully committed to the show and is not just an actor, he even had his directing debut on the show. As Alejandro said about filming, I've always been interested in the directing part of it. For some reason, the last couple of years, it's really started to whisper in my ear a lot louder. I started becoming a little more obsessed with it and realized I didn't know much about it. Kevin first found himself an old camera and started a YouTube channel called Alejandro Films, challenging himself to learn how to edit the videos with no budget. He then enrolled in Warner Brothers' Directors Program and is now a director of a Lucifer episode and a short movie starring Lesley-Ann Brandt. That audition for Lucifer definitely changed his career dramatically. Rachel Harris and D.B. Woodside. Well, these two haven't said much about their auditions for Lucifer, but that's probably because they've had so many of them. Rachel Harris's first breakthrough audition was pretty terrifying for her. Her debut role was in 1992, and young Harris was heading to a tiny apartment that they claimed was a theater. As Rachel recalls, "I hope this is a legitimate audition. I could be going in for a porn. I don't know." We doubt that the Netflix audition for Lucifer could have been more eventful than that. In contrast, D.B. Woodside couldn't make it to his dream audition at all. D.B. really wanted to play Green Lantern, but couldn't make it to auditions in time. So for his Lucifer Comic-Con appearance, he came wearing a Green Lantern t-shirt, signaling to the directors that he was more than interested in playing the part. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers cannot hire an actor involved in 2 different DC Universe projects. Well, let's see what happens after Lucifer ends. Unfortunately, there are no interviews with Lauren German discussing her auditions whatsoever. But that's not unusual. She's one of the most secretive members of the cast. What do you guys think about the Lucifer cast's auditions? If you had a chance to audition for a role, who from the Lucifer cast would you like to play? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to get more awesome Lucifer updates.